bear with. Do you remember when I told you how graceful I was? Oh my gosh, that was me being graceful. I'm not a graceful person. I am a clumsy person. So, guys, we are another 100 pages in, or thereabouts. I've gone slightly over because I had another chapter to read. Well, I was just in work and I was on my lunch and I wanted to read the next chapter, so I read the next chapter. So I'm on page 222 now. So in the next 100 pages of this book, a lot has happened actually, and I'm surprised. I was sitting here thinking before I started recording this evening, because I just thought, gosh, what am I going to say here? Because I don't want this to be a sort of just a watered down version of the plot. I don't want to sit here talking about what's happening in the story. Obviously, I have to talk what's happening in the story, but not like super spoilery. So I went onto YouTube after reading the first 100 pages of this. So I wanted to see whether anybody else had done any vlogs about it or any kind of just general reviews, and there are quite a lot of reviews. And I looked at Patrick Ness, and he's got some interviews about the book and about the trilogy as a whole, and they were quite cool actually. So by means of like not spoiling it, I'm gonna have to say something to you now, because there's a main character in this that wasn't in the first 100 pages, and that person is mentioned in the videos online and in the information online just straight away. So this isn't really a spoiler, because the information is right there for you. The twist at the end of the first 100 pages of this book, when Todd discovers that sort of silence, this kind of gap where there's no noise, that gap turned out to be a girl, and that girl's called Viola. They're kind of thrown together on this adventure because there's been no girls. He thought all girls and women were killed, and we knew that the Prentice Town men weren't saying everything. We knew that, but we weren't entirely sure what they were talking about or what they were lying about. And to be honest, in the next 100 pages, an awful lot has happened. A lot of new characters have been introduced, and it's sort of making me ask more questions, to be honest, rather than answering them, because what's very, very interesting so far to me, especially as a reader and as a writer, is it's like almost like the book is his noise. And so I don't know, I've talked about the noise, but the noise is all the information and thoughts and feelings and images and just experiences that are pushed out there, and all the men can hear each other's noises. And the noise, like I said in the last part, can be manipulated slightly. And so it's really, really interesting, because in this part, Todd learns things. And so far, we've learned everything with him. But there are certain things that certain characters say to him in the second 100 pages that he has learnt, and he doesn't tell us. So as the narrator, he is choosing not to say, and that is super interesting, because it's like the book is his noise, and he is sort of glossing over that part and giving us just like more noisier things, so that we are thrown off the scent of what's happening underneath. So obviously there are some more reveals and more information about what is actually going on this planet, and I know now that it is a planet, a separate planet. These settlers have come here, and there are 2 moons. So and the years are 13 months long, not 12, because obviously the orbit is different around the sun. So so yeah, definitely different planet, definitely sci-fi. So I was right, but it was hinted at through it, because obviously Todd just knows this stuff as a matter of fact. So he's not telling somebody new. So he needed somebody new to come into the story in order to explain those things to us as the reader. I'm quite intrigued with that idea, because normally, I mean, when I write stories, I write them and I don't hold information back like that. I've not done that before. When you're reading his thoughts as he learns things, because what happens is that the other characters can kind of open their noise to you, and then you can experience what they want you to experience. So obviously there's a pinch of salt there. And that's exactly what he's doing. Todd, as the narrator at this point, he is experiencing what's happening, and he is learning things in other people's noise, and then he's not telling us. He's like, that can't be true. That can't be it. What's happening? No, I can't believe that. And then he carries on with the actual peril and the danger, and there has been some quite big danger. There was a big explosion and they're being hunted, and there's a horrific character called Aaron who seems to be really a real nasty pasty, but there's also a fantastic character called Hildy, and I love Hildy already. I adore her. So yeah, I'm sorry if this is I hope this isn't spoiling it too much. I obviously want to talk about the book and its plot, because I can't do this vlog without talking about the plot, but I don't want to go into heavy spoilers. But yeah, I'm learning it's much more science fiction than I expected, in a good way. I'm really enjoying Todd's narration, because I just think it's just so much more interesting having him there, just telling us what he's learnt. He's holding stuff back. And that's obviously dramatic, and it's helping with the build-up, the anticipation for us to discover what he's learnt. And it's also just a much more interesting way to have a character tell a story in this kind of format. Yeah, so that's what I've learnt in the second 100 pages, really. I think it's part 4 I'm on now, and I'm on chapter 21. It's a chapter called The Wider World. So that sounds good. And to be fair, I'm flying through the chapters really quickly. I'm finding it a very easy read, and a lot is happening, but there's also quite a lot of description. It's a really nice balance, and I'm learning that I'm very much enjoying Patrick Ness as an author. That's what I've learned so far. So that's the second block of 100 pages, and I'll see you in another 100 pages.